Thank you for watching. My name is Rasha, and today I wanted to talk about the common misconception that domestic violence and abuse doesn't happen that often. Every 5 days, a woman is murdered by an intimate partner, and in the United States, it's 3 women every day. Around 50% of women experience some type of physical or sexual violence by the age of 16 in Canada. There's a common belief that these types of things only happen in third world countries, in underdeveloped ones, or in areas where women don't have as many rights. But unfortunately, we do see it everywhere, which means that domestic violence can and does affect anyone. We do understand that there are certain communities that are more vulnerable or susceptible to domestic violence, which can include Indigenous women who are 6 times more likely to be murdered by an intimate partner and 2.5 times more likely to be experiencing intimate partner violence. Immigrant and refugee women can also be very vulnerable to domestic violence because if the spouse is the only one that is able to speak English or French, and there is a domestic dispute and a police officer does stop by to check in, the spouse, who's the only one that is able to communicate, will reiterate that there's nothing going on and that everything is safe, whereas the woman is not able to tell the officer that there is a domestic dispute that is happening. And there's a lot of threats that can happen, which include being deported, losing your children, which is actually not true. And therefore, women will be afraid to reach out to somebody or to get the proper help. And they also don't know the proper resources that are available for them. We do see and understand that domestic violence can happen to men, but what we see when it comes to police reported incidents of intimate partner violence, 79% of those are directed towards women. The reason we go to high schools to talk about healthy relationships and domestic violence is because we see the highest statistics of intimate partner violence and domestic abuse to be between the ages of 15 to 24. So we want to be able to give them the proper information and resources to know what a healthy relationship should look like, as well as what domestic violence and abuse looks like. A very frightening statistic is that women are 6 times more likely to be murdered by an intimate partner when they do decide to leave a relationship, which is why it's so important to reach out to the proper resources and have proper safety planning in order to leave a relationship and be able to know how to do that in a very safe way. So as much as we want to encourage women to leave these unhealthy and abusive relationships, it's also very important to do so with the proper resources and information and with professionals, because it can be a very scary time for somebody who does decide to leave a relationship in the first place. We do understand that it can be very scary for somebody to leave an abusive relationship during this time of isolation and quarantine. So it is important as a community to come together and to reach out to those that we love, our neighbors and people that we know who might be in a compromised situation, because making that 911 phone call can save somebody's life. And it is very important to know that officers would rather receive multiple phone calls where nothing has happened than to not have received that one phone call that could save somebody's life. So I know this is a lot of information and it can be scary, but it is a time where we need to come together as a community and be there for each other. But know that if you are self-isolating or being in quarantine, there is help out there, especially with the announcements of the government of Alberta, or if somebody does need to leave an abusive relationship, there is help out there. So please do reach out to the proper resources, to friends and family if you're able to, in order to be able to plan safely how to leave the abusive relationship. So thank you so much for watching.